I'm noticing I got a bit more of a problem. Put the bucket down, boom, ran out of fuel. So I'm stuck in the middle of the road with no fuel.
While we are dealing with a major storm this morning, things did get pretty bad in Arizona.
Let's see what happens. Yeah, buddy. Well, this week has been all about flood proofing the property. The new pad that I'm cutting in for the RV, the existing pad that the tiny house sits on, the new road sections that I've been building over the last several days and couple weeks, and checking on the performance of the culverts and the ditches and all of the drainage systems that I've put in. And it, as much as I wasn't probably ready for record rain, it didn't really matter this week what I was ready for, because it came. Another monster rainstorm, 2 to 3 inches of rain, depending on which gauge you're checking. Either way you look at it, a lot of rain. And I came up during the storm, checked things out. This is pretty cool. It doesn't rain often, and I literally just yesterday got my first culvert set on a new section of road, and I'm super curious to go up and take a look at it, because it, I know right out of the gate, the pipe was not big enough. It was not the right type of pipe to use for a culvert. It's not very big. And this happens to be one day after the culvert is set, and it is raining, and it's been raining pretty good and pretty hard. I am working my way up our road. Like, what a cool opportunity to do something on our off-grid property and then get immediate feedback. I don't have to wait for like 6 months for one of the monsoons to find out, like, hey, where's the water flow now? Now that I kind of disturbed things and moved stuff around, what's going on? I don't have to wait. So if I get up here and it's a disaster and it's pushing on the culvert, or there's just not enough flow, or it's doing something that I couldn't foresee, I get to learn it now while I still just am kind of in the rough draft stage. So kind of a cool thing. A big pointy mountain is our backyard. A pretty good amount of surface area to collect water. All right, well, there's only one way to tell for sure, and that's gonna be getting wet. Are you guys ready to get out and get dirty and muddy? I guess there's no way around it. You just get to come have some fun. Tucker, do you want some help, buddy? Come here. There you go. Well, so far so good. There's nothing flowing down the hill. A lot of that natural land up there it's compacted, but it doesn't have the same type of compaction from being driven over, which means water's gonna soak into it a bit more. And this definitely has a bit of a kind of a soaking, slow soaking type rain feel. that the earth might be able to kind of keep up with soaking it in. One thing I can do to get kind of an idea of how far things are soaking in, you can kind of see we've got about a good inch of saturation, and after that it's dry as bone under there. Well, in a way that only God can do, as if to remind me everything's gonna be okay. The clouds parted and the sun blasted through with this brilliant light into the rain to deliver one of the most vivid rainbows I've ever seen in my life. I had to just stop and soak it in. Here's a couple of my favorite shots from standing in the rain, enjoying a desert rainbow. Now, even a day after, and things are starting to dry out just a little bit, and it is looking pretty amazing. I've had a chance to come up this morning. It was a little cooler when I first got up here, but it doesn't take long and that sun comes out. But I came up, I walked the property, I walked up the drainages, did a really good thorough inspection, looking for just any signs that will give me clues as to where the water runs on a rainfall like that. 2 to 3 inches of rain, how much water runs down these drainages, and to just gather intel so that I can be as prepared as possible, but also build systems, drainage systems, ditches, culverts, swales, catch basins, that will fit the amount of water that I have to deal with. And so far, it's gone pretty darn good. All right, for those of you that are like, wait, you're just dumping water down on the ground and wasting it? Yes, I am. I'll just be honest. I do have another water tank down at the other property we're staying at. It's not easy. I can do it. It's not super easy for me to load by myself. I had the four-wheeler in the back of the truck, which I wanted to get up here, to leave it up here, because it needs a little TLC and all my tools are up here. And I didn't want to make a trip all the way up, drop off the four-wheeler, go all the way back, try and load the water tank by myself into the back of the truck, come all the way up here, empty the water tank, yada, 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 and just waste up a lot of my daylight. So whatever's coming out of there, I can refill. I know it's a little bit wasteful, but it is what it is for today. It'll probably cost me like $3 or $4 to replace the water that I'm dumping out of there. So it is what it is. I need to move that water tank. It's right in the way, and that's kind of the spot of the project where I am right now. I need to start cutting out the middle of the parking pad. And in order to do that, I got to get the water tank drained so that I can hook it and pick it and move it and all that good stuff. So the dogs get to play in the water. I've got lots more digging to do, so I'm going to let that drain, let them turn into giant mud balls. Still at it over there behind me. And I'm going to get back in the machine and start moving some dirt. This right here, this is the definition of progress. After months of talking and planning and driving thousands of miles, I'm finally here with old Leaky Lou, getting my hands and the machine dirty. And there's something so incredibly refreshing about a day spent moving earth. I mean, look at this sky. It's that deep, impossible blue that you can only get when the clouds are racing by right after a storm. And that rich, almost terracotta color of the dirt, that's Arizona. Up north, the dirt smells like pine needles and damp moss, and here, it smells like the dust and the rain mixed with something wild and something sweet, something completely new that catches my senses. It's similar, but different. The warmth of the sun is familiar, but the way it hits the land, the way the air moves, it all feels sharper, drier. You realize you're paying attention to details that you never noticed before. You're present. And that's the real reward. For a few hours, there's no headphones, no computer screens, no endless scrolling on a smartphone. It's just me, the rhythmic groan of the engine, and the pure satisfaction of seeing the land transformed right before my eyes. And of course, I have the best company in the world. Look at these two, the two happiest dogs you'll ever meet, roaming free, noses to the ground, smelling and tasting every single inch of their new desert home. They get it. They understand that freedom is dirt under your paws and sunshine on your back. We're not just moving brush and digging trenches. We're quite literally digging in, laying the foundation for a life that we've dreamed about. And every scoop of this rich red earth feels like a step in the right direction. So if you're new to the channel, my name is Thad, and normally I would have my wife, Kayla, here with me, tackling all these projects with me. She had to make an emergency trip back up to Ontario, Canada, to be with her mom, who's going through a bit of a medical emergency. So I am solo building, and probably will be for several more weeks. But I'm glad you're here. This is Off-Grid Dreamers, and we're building out a off-grid base camp. We live on the road full-time, have been traveling for several years, coming up on 4 years full-time, all over the United States and Canada in our fifth wheel. And we were ready to not settle down and have a home, but we were ready to have a home base, a place to invite people to, a place for our family to come and visit, our moms to come and visit, friends to come hang out, and just a place to pause occasionally and take a break after putting on lots of miles. We've been around the United States multiple times, around Lake Superior in Ontario. We've been all the way north into the Yukon and up into Alaska, and traveled pretty extensively through Canada and the western and northwestern United States. And it is awesome, and probably don't plan on stopping that anytime soon. But a home base is kind of a cool thing. So check out what I've got done so far. Like learning how to dig yourself into a tight spot with a giant berm in front of me and a pile of loose dirt behind me. Expert move right here. Just about had to bust out the backhoe and drag myself out of this hole, but a little bit of diligent patience back and forth, and a Aussie lock rear end and old leaky loo, and eventually he scraped and clawed and climbed his way out of the hole. Lesson learned. Well, I eventually broke through the last remaining part of the bank between the sections that I've been working on, and started to actually get things to a bit of what I would call a rough grade. We're a long ways away from RV parking pad, but I'm starting to see the big picture take shape. I've got a lot of dirt left to move. The water tank still has to get moved to a new temporary location. More dirt has to be cut out of the bank and moved onto the other side to compact and extend the pad. But you can start to see the vision. The wider road, the gentler, easier corners, the larger parking pad, and a place that maybe one day in the not too distant future is going to have an RV parked right there. And our home that rolls will be next to our home that doesn't. How about that giveaway? So what we're going to be doing is giving away a few pieces of our treasured quartz. And the quartz here is just absolutely stunning. Brilliant, bright white. Some of it will have some rose, kind of rust colored rose veins in it. And it is just, I don't know, stunning, especially contrasting compared to the dark, duller colored rocks, you see some of that quartz, and it's just like, wow, what a beautiful thing. So we've got a few pieces hand selected for this giveaway, and all you've got to do to be entered to win the giveaway is jump in the comments and say, "Show me the quartz." And that's all you got to do. Jump in the comments, show me the quartz, and we will let that roll for about 72 hours. And then after the video has been live for 72 hours, we will randomly select a winner from the Show Me the Quartz comments, and then we will shoot you a message. So if we respond to your Show You the Quartz comment, you should probably take note, because we'll shoot you our email address, and then we can email back and forth, and we'll get your details and get you some quartz shipped off. I do need to mention, this is only an option for people in the United States. Unfortunately, I know we've got people watching in Australia and around Canada, and even some people in England and the UK and different areas, and it is not feasible for me to ship quartz across the pond or to the land down under. And trying to ship things to Canada is just virtually impossible, because the Canadian Postal Service is on strike every 5 minutes. So ask me how I know. My wife's Canadian. So if you're in the US and you want some quartz, some of our quartz, hand-picked for you, all you gotta do, jump in the comments, say, "Show me the quartz," we'll pick a winner. So one of the projects we've got coming up here pretty soon is partially really needed and helpful, and partially slightly ridiculous at this stage in the game. But it's got a frivolous feature that isn't super important right now, except mental health and enjoyment of life, I guess, is pretty important. And so it'll play into that part of things. So this little shed right over here, we've done some organizing in it. We built shelves, kind of got it as efficient as possible inside. And what we're going to be doing is putting solar on the shed, and then we're going to be putting some sweet batteries in there, and a charge controller, an inverter. And we're going to put that shed all together on its own off-grid shed system, so that it is independent of any other stuff going on up here. So again, it's nice to have redundancy. So if something goes wrong in our RV system when we're up here and we get a glitch or a piece of hardware malfunctions, we've got a separate setup that we've also got power on. So it won't be a giant system, it doesn't need to be, but it's going to be quite sufficient. And then on the outside wall, right there, I'm standing in the area where the RV will eventually be parked. And as the RV gets pulled in here, the space between the RV and the shed is gonna maybe get like some really cool rock patio put in here, a really neat kind of outdoor living space set up, and then we're gonna mount a big TV on the outside of the wall. Now, let me just tell you, I would not normally go out and I wouldn't go buy a giant big screen TV to mount outside and just have as a frivolous extra. But a friend of mine somehow, through a work situation, ended up with 2 extra brand new 60-inch flat screen TVs, and he doesn't need them, and I need a frivolous outdoor TV. So I'll have an outdoor TV mounted on there with an outside cover that wraps it all up. And then there'll be a really cool patio type thing here and a fire pit. And it is the place where I can kick back and watch a show, watch some football, smoke a cigar, sit around the fire pit and just kick it. And so most of our prevailing wind comes up in here this direction from kind of at my back. And so we'll end up doing some sort of a windbreak fence out here on the front of the RV. And it's going to be cool. I'm kind of excited about it. I'm probably going to tackle that sooner than later. Once I get some of this dirt moved, I've got to get a jump on that and get it going. And again, not because it's the most important next project, but because it's a fun project. And somewhere in the mix of all this stuff, there's a balance of all of the kind of monotonous, kind of boring moving dirt because you have to, mixed with dabbling in some stuff that's just fun because I want to. And so that's what's on deck. I don't know if it'll be next week or the week after, but it's coming soon. We've also got some other really cool stuff in the works, and you are not gonna want to miss some of our upcoming videos. By the way, if you haven't seen the whole beginning of this saga and figured out how we ended up doing this, why we ended up doing kind of RV life full-time and off-grid, and heard a little bit more about our plans here for this off-grid home base camp homestead thingamajigger that we're doing here in Northwest Arizona, be sure to check out some of these other videos that are going to pop up on your screen here at the end. And don't forget to drop that show me the quartz in the comments. And of course, like, subscribe, turn on the alerts, you know the drill, all the good stuff. All right, I've got about an hour of daylight left, and I better take full advantage of every drop of it because I've got a lot of dirt still to move, and then I've got a half hour of cleaning up and putting tools away and battening down the hatches before I head back down the hill and feed myself and feed some dogs. So I better get a move on. You better get a move on watching some of the other videos from our channel that you haven't seen yet, and I will be seeing you in the comments.